Following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. Welcome into a Tuesday of Main Street Sports. Today on the program, we'll be joined by Teresa Walker with the Associated Press. Around 2:15, talk a little Nashville Predators, Tennessee Titans, and much more. NCAA Hoops, National Championship game last night, a comeback for the ages. Also, St. Peter's leading star enters the portal. A shining moment more. It is Masters Week. Tiger Woods looks like he's playing. Is he the GOAT of GOATs? We'll talk about it. Chip Walters, his weekly visit on all things Blue Raiders. And Top 5 Tuesday, hated teams in sports. It's all straight ahead. Main Street Sports today with the Hall of Famer and Sports Writer of the Year, Mo Patton, and the Sundrop Kid from Alabama, Chris Yow.
Welcome into this Tuesday edition as we are having a great day. It's rainy outside, but who cares? It is what it is.
I can tell you a few folks that are going to care here in a couple of hours.
All these folks who we're just about to talk about in the rundown who are not going to get to play.
Who won't be playing the games we're going to announce in the schedule.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Remember, check your local listings. Mo, how's it going, man?
It's going all right. Thought we had a great show yesterday, and going to try to follow it up.
Everyone should go back and watch it if you didn't get to see it yesterday, because we had a great conversation with Rick Sweet. That was phenomenal. And really just a good show overall. And
a great conversation with Virgil Herring on the upcoming Masters.
Yeah, I think he let us know about several of the big-time storylines, especially that Rory McIlroy storyline. So looking forward to the Masters. In fact, that is today's opening tee shot. I don't know. Call it the tee shot.
Opening drive? No, that's football, I guess. Yeah. First tee.
Tiger seems to be playing in the Masters this year. We talked about it yesterday. We weren't sure. He said as long as everything holds up as it is, he should be playing. And from all reports,
everything is holding up.
He's playing pretty well. So there's that. We'll talk about it more in the second half, as JP told you, but that is our top story for the day. But before we get to anything else, we need to give you yesterday's results and today's tentative schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
Let's do it.
This is your Tuesday Rundown, brought to you by Jim Davis at Grow Live Give. Visit them at growlivegive.com or give them a call at 615-682-0022. Securities offered through IFP Securities, LLC, DBA Independent Financial Partners, IFP member, FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through IFP Advisors, LLC, DBA Independent Financial Partners, Registered Investment Advisor. IFP and Grow Live Give are not affiliated. All right, so let's get into a busy day yesterday on the Rundown, as we've got Zion Christian High School baseball over Riverside Christian. It was Watertown over Westmoreland. Also, Stewart's Creek over Antioch.
Yes, those scores are real.
And 18-0. This is baseball, folks. 18-0 over Antioch, and then again 32
50
nothing.
Runs. 50 runs.
50 in a doubleheader.
50 burger.
Stewart's Creek up on Antioch. Seagulls 6-1 over Blackman. Joe Burns over East Robertson. And East Robertson over Joe Burns. Hey, they split. Lawrence County shutting out Page in game 1, 2-0. Page returns the favor with an 8-0 shutout in the second match. Marshall County shutting out Spring Hill. Riverdale over Rockvale. Beach over Station Camp. Fairview over Cheatham County, 13-0. Collinwood over Colioca by a run. Murfreesboro Central downs Hume Fog. Lebanon over Wilson Central. Lewis County defeated Summertown. It was Loretto 5-2 over Mount Pleasant. Also, Loretto shutting out Mount Pleasant in the second game, 10-0. Montgomery Central over White House, Richland over Santa Fe. Wayne County defeated Hampshire 10-1. White House Heritage over Springfield. Centennial over Franklin. Ravenwood defeated Independence. Nolensville falls to Zionsville from Indiana. Summit over Columbia Central. Clarksville downs West Creek 10-3 and 25-1. Rossview over Northeast 12-0. Columbia Academy over MTCS. It was Good Pasture up over Davidson Academy 19-0, and that is Coach Jim Carter's 600th career win. So a milestone there in game one. Game two, 6-0 as well. So 6-0-1 now and counting. Friendship Christian 21-0 over Ezel Harding. Do we have spring football going on in high school? DCA 8-1 over Mount Juliet. High school softball from Monday. Loretto falls to Mars Hill Bible from Alabama. Columbia Central over Shelbyville. Friendship Christian defeated Westmoreland. Lawrence County big over Spring Hill 13-0. Station Camp 14-4 over Trousdale County. It was Gallatin 14-4 over East Robertson. Green Hill 9-6 over Brentwood. Smyrna down Mount Juliet. Richland over Colioca. Summertown 9-1 over Wayne County. Columbia Academy 13-1 over Grace Christian. Boys soccer on the pitch from Monday. Richland 2-1 winners over Fayetteville. And Loretto 6-1 over Zion Christian. On tap for today, weather permitting. Check your local listings as always, subject to change. High school baseball scheduled for 4 o'clock today. Smyrna at Cane Ridge, Hillwood at Glencliff. At 4:30, Brentwood Academy will welcome Father Ryan. Lipscomb Academy at MBA. Mount Juliet Christian at DCA. At 5 today, Cheatham County at Fairview. Clarksville Academy at Nashville Christian. At 5:30, Wayne County at Hampshire. Santa Fe will welcome Richland. 6 o'clock, first pitch tonight. Riverdale at Rockvale. Blackman at Siegel. East Nashville at Trousdale County. Colioca at Collinwood. Summertown hosts Lewis County and Laverne at Brentwood. 6:30 tonight, Marshall County at Spring Hill. Murfreesboro Central versus Hume Fogg. It is Lebanon at Wilson Central. Summit at Columbia Central. Ravenwood hosting Independence. Rossview at Northeast. Innsworth at CPA. MTCS hosting Columbia Academy. And at 7 tonight, Portland at Greenbrier. Gallatin at Hendersonville. White House hosting Montgomery Central. And White House Heritage is at Springfield. In softball this afternoon, again, subject to change per the weather in your neck of the woods. Brentwood Academy at CPA. St. Cecilia at Harpeth Hall. Pope Prep versus Innsworth. Ezel Harding at Clarksville Academy. Friendship Christian is at Good Pasture. At 5 today, it is Zion Christian at South Haven. Watertown hosting Westmoreland. Collinwood at Colioca. Summertown is at Giles County this evening. Montgomery Central at Greenbrier. Mount Pleasant travels to Lewis County. Sycamore will host White House Heritage. Nolensville at Ravenwood. VGA welcomes Columbia Academy, and MTCS travels to Grace Christian. 5:30 first pitch in softball. Joe Burns at East Robertson. Frank Hughes over Santa Fe. Clarksville at West Creek. At 6, it is Cane Ridge at Smyrna. Laverne at Stewart's Creek. Station Camp at Gallatin. Loretto hosting Lawrence County. Nashville Christian at DCA. 6:30 tonight, Blackman at Riverdale. Siegel at Rockvale. And Wayne County is scheduled for Richland. No time listed for that softball match today. High school soccer on the pitch. Spring Hill at Fairview, 5 o'clock. First touch, Lawrence County and Murfreesboro Central also at 5 bells. At 5:30, FRA at MLK. At 6, it is Lebanon at Laverne. Stewart's Creek at Riverdale. Gallatin hosts Hume Fogg. Loretto at Richland. Nashville Christian at Sycamore. MBA is at CPA. At 7 o'clock tonight, Stratford at Merrill Hyde. Rockvale will host Oakland. Blackman at Siegel. Mount Juliet travels to Wilson Central. Hendersonville hosts Independence. Page is at Columbia. Springfield will be at West Creek. NCAA Division I baseball. Austin P at Vanderbilt tonight. 6 o'clock on the SEC Plus Network at Hawkins Field. Belmont is at Western Kentucky. That's at 5 o'clock on ESPN Plus. And Lipscomb travels east to Knoxville to take on the number 1 team of the country, Tennessee, at 5:30, also on SEC Plus Network. College softball doubleheader today. Tennessee State is down in Oxford to take on Ole Miss. First pitch of game 1 scheduled for 3. NHL tonight. The Wild at the Preds in Hockey Tonk. Smashville, however you want to call it, 7 o'clock. First touch, a puck drop tonight, rather. Grizzlies at the Jazz tonight out west in Salt Lake at 8 o'clock Central. That is your Tuesday rundown brought to you by Jim Davis. Grow, live, give.com.
All right. We had to turn you off earlier. Well,
Yeah.
phone call, not any breaking news or anything.
Yes and no.
Okay. So yes, it is, but no, we can't tell anybody.
Exactly.
All right. Just making sure.
There's a lot of that going around this week, isn't there?
This is a heck of a week of breaking news that we can't
I hope you're taking notes. Right?
No question, man. My goodness. Well, let's take a quick break. We'll talk to Teresa Walker on the other side of the break about tonight's Preds game. We'll probably talk a little bit about the Titans as well. So stick around here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be right back after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Oh, welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow, Patton J.P. Plant with you here, and look at us, man. We got new microphones. You guys can't see them. We got new microphones in the house, thanks to JP. So, sounding great today. Not that we didn't sound great before, but sounding even better.
Technologically speaking, we sound even better.
You know, there's that. Oh, what?
Yeah, it's relative.
Yeah.
No, you're accurate. You guys do sound really good. You always sound good.
JP over here putting lipstick on a pig.
That's it. That's all he's doing. That's okay.
I'm a professional makeup artist.
All right.
And we
Professional
appreciate
media makeup artist. Yes.
We need all the makeup you can give us.
Powder my forehead. Please.
I'll tell you who does not need any makeup to sound good, and that is Associated Press sports editor for the state of Tennessee, Teresa Walker. Teresa, how art thou?
This is former intern 2.
Whoa!
Oh, no.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Oh, he lives.
Speaking of,
He lives.
Decided to crash the show for once.
Wow.
Well,
How y'all doing?
How are we doing? How are you doing, Mr. Finish my internship, get my paperwork, and never be heard or seen again?
Yeah. Ain't that something?
Yeah.
I've been very busy here at Trevecca. It's been very busy balancing all the sports we got going on, but it's finally starting to calm down with just baseball and softball going on.
Hey, I tell you what, Austin Selby would not be happy to hear you say things are starting to calm down with just baseball and softball going on. In fact, I think I'll
I
tell him
meant
you
the
said that.
workload.
His
No,
workload.
hey,
That's
our
probably
baseball team is amazing.
Yeah,
So
we're
covering
familiar with
them is always.
we're familiar with your baseball team. It sounds like you need to get familiar with your track and field team, though.
Oh, track and field is not one of the things that I have to deal with.
I was about to
much.
say, it may not be
okay.
one of his
Usually
sports.
my boss.
Okay. All right. Cool. I'll give you
Yeah.
that. All right. All right.
Well, hey, how
So yeah, I
are
just
you
wanted to come
feeling?
on and just press.
How you feeling about the Preds, man?
I don't even know anymore. We were doing great, and now we're starting to slide, and it's just, they need to figure it out before the end of the season and playoffs start if they can actually make the playoffs.
There's that.
So
Aren't they pretty good for the playoffs, though, Lawson? Seriously? I mean, we may not like the way they're playing right now, and losses to teams like Buffalo certainly don't help you feel any better, but
I don't know that they're. I mean, they're.
I don't know
sitting
that
at
they're a
8.
lot. Are they at 8?
Yeah. I mean, tied for the last spot with
okay,
Vegas.
Okay, so maybe they're not so good for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. Is what it is.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Lawson, good to hear from you, man. Don't be a stranger.
Yeah,
Too late.
I'm trying not to be. It's just been really busy, but I will try and contact y'all a bit more.
You can always call. You can always just call JP, and we'll throw you on the air.
Yep. You need no invitation.
Good. All right, hey, that sounds good. But I'll let you have your regularly scheduled guest here.
That would be great. Thank you. Goodbye, Lawson Smith. Intern 2.
Former intern 2 Lawson Smith there on the phone line. But we do now get Teresa Walker.
As we were saying before, we were so rudely interrupted.
I don't know if we were rudely
exactly
interrupted.
Right.
Yeah. How did you allow that to happen, Mom?
Well, he just missed you guys and wanted to, crash the party, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been trying to quiet the child down since he was born, and I really regularly fail at it.
It's like somebody told me once, you spend the first 2 years trying to get them to walk and talk, and the rest of their childhood and adulthood trying to get them to sit down and shut up. Yeah. So it is what it is. Teresa Walker, as Chris mentioned, Associated Press sports editor for the state of Tennessee, with us here on Main Street Sports today, following that brief interlude. And as Lawson alluded and kind of corrected me, Teresa, big hockey game tonight at Bridgestone as the Minnesota Wild comes into town, and the Preds needing to do some work to try to secure a postseason berth.
Absolutely. I mean, think about this. We've gone from thinking, oh yeah, they're going to make the playoffs. Maybe they get to the number 3 spot in the West, in the Central Division in the West. And right now they are tied with the Vegas Golden Knights with 82 points. Yes, the Predators are sitting in that first wild card spot because they do have 3 games in hand on the Golden Knights. But they're tied in the same amount of games with Dallas, who's got 81 points. On the outside looking in. And then, let's face it, the top 3 in the Central, Colorado, Minnesota, Minnesota, I think, has won 4 straight, since they've gotten Marc-Andre Fleury, and, he's been really nice for them in net. And St. Louis, they've widened the gap. The Predators are 6 points back of St. Louis, and yes, now the Predators have a game in hand, but, right now, I saw some quotes from yesterday that the playoff starts now for them. It does, because they have to kick it into gear if they want to make sure and get into the postseason. So I'm very curious to see how things go for this franchise, because, we've had so much talk about, Tanner Jeannot for the Calder, Roman Josi for Norris and possibly the Hart. UC Saros has had a great season. The goal records that, Forsberg and Duchesne seem to be passing back and forth almost nightly, sometimes by the period. And yet here we are with them hanging on by the skin of their teeth. So it's going to be very interesting to see, what kind of, getting into the playoffs matters, But guess what? You don't want to be in the second wild card. Why? Who wants to play Colorado in the first round? I'm just saying. So, the better position you can put yourself going into the postseason is it's the way they need to try to go. Guys, they need to stop giving up so many goals in the first period, and they've got to stay out of the box and clean up some of those issues because, I've been talking for a long time about how those are the things that can cost them in the playoffs. Well, if they don't get things, snap out of it, then they're going to be, these are going to be the things that keep them out of the playoffs. So, the pressure is on.
And Teresa, as you talk about those individual awards, the Calder and that type thing, those awards typically don't go to players on non-playoff teams.
No. And that's the thing. So, as great as this season has been, if you want, if the Predators want to, get the due that they deserve for the seasons that some of these folks have had. I mean, let's face it, Roman Josi, if he gets things snapped back together, he could easily be putting together the best scoring season by a defenseman since 91-92 and Brian Leach, a guy who's in the Hall of Fame. So, if he can get to 100 points this season, and there's still plenty of games for that to happen, nearly a month's worth, but they've got to, you're not going to get attention for these unless you are, on a winning team. Sorry, half the league makes the playoffs. You can't make the playoffs. There's plenty of teams ahead of you. And, for the folks who want to give an edge to Cale Makar and some of these other guys, that would easily be the thing. It's like, well, he didn't get his team in the playoffs, so how good could he be? So that's exactly the kind of thing that'll go against him and Tanner Jeannot, you name it, if they don't snap out of it.
Teresa, as you talk about Josi and Duchesne and Forsberg and Johansson and Jeannot and all of these great statistics and all of these, great players, what is the problem? Why can they not win hockey games, especially against teams like Buffalo?
Well, I've heard the theory that, they've been hitting teams at the wrong time. Buffalo, it was a big night. It was their first sellout in a couple of years. They were honoring announcer Rick Jenneret, who'd been, their announcer, their voice for 5 decades. And, so people, they didn't want to let Rick down. I mean, it'd be like if, whenever that time, next weekend, they're going to be honoring Terry Crisp here. And, for his tenure, because this is his last season, working as one of the voices of the Predators. And, you think that, Smashville's going to be up for that night, that the players will be up? Absolutely. They want to go out and win for Christie, or they will. That was the same way for Buffalo. And, it's just one of those things. And, sometimes that's, this team still has enough experience. You'd like to think, guys, hey, we're going to have to come out here. We're going to have to defend. We're going to have to play well in front of Stars because these guys are going to be juiced. Didn't turn out that way, though, did it? So, that's the challenge of finding that combination and coming out ready to play and ready to take care of some business.
There you go. That answers my question. I was just, it's just frustrating because, Matt Duchene's having by far the best season he's had since he's been in Nashville. There's no question about that. And maybe his best season in the last 5 or 6. And then Forsberg obviously is Philip Forsberg. So it's just frustrating to see good players, our stars, being stars, and nobody else kind of filling those gaps.
Or your stars being stars and really having nothing to show for it.
Right. Yeah. So it's unfortunate. Anyway.
Exactly. I mean, all these stats mean nothing if they don't get into the postseason. It's that simple.
Yeah, no question.
Anyone remember 2009?
Yep.
Sorry, Chris Johnson ran for over 2,000 yards. Was worked his way into NFL history, but that was an 8-8 season. So it's like, ooh, that's great. CJ2K didn't make the playoffs. That's what the Predators are facing here if they don't get things into gear.
Remember, hockey and football are team sports, and they don't give out championship trophies for individual awards, unfortunately.
Typically, no.
So,
no. Teresa Walker of the Associated Press with us here on Main Street Sports today. Back from vacation, Teresa Walker.
Hey, I had to squeeze it in.
Well, it certainly looked as if you did. You You look
I
like
did.
it looked like you had a great time, and I'm happy for you. But we would be remiss if we did not get you to kind of catch us up on your thoughts regarding the Titans' potential new facility, I guess. New home of the
Trust me,
Titans.
I took a call from somebody with some information last Monday while I was walking on the old 7 Mile Bridge down in the Keys next to Marathon on this whole situation. And it's interesting how it's come together quickly, right? For people who haven't been paying attention, back in 2019 around the NFL draft when it was in Nashville, started hearing talk about how, we heard Miss Amy Adams Strunk say she didn't want a roof. So the talk was a Hard Rock Cafe style, where they put a roof over the seats and, kind of do it, upgrade it, modernize it. And then, they got the information. It's like, oh yeah, this was done so much on the cheap with prefab concrete that it's going to cost double to do what we want to do here. And then that's when the conversation quickly switched to, looking at, kicking the tires and trying to figure out what a new stadium would cost, what it could look like. And to get all the numbers that we got last week, the governor putting in a $500 million line item into his proposed budget, which of course would have to be approved, but it would go for an enclosed stadium. And then the Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, let it out on a radio show on Friday that the Adams family was liquidating some things so that they could be prepared to put $700 million into this project themselves. And I know there's a lot of people that don't like taxes and don't like the idea of, taxpayer money being used for anything private. But, the fact of the matter is 700 plus 500, that gets you to the 1.2. We're still waiting to see what it is that comes from, Metro. But,
and the NFL
this
potentially.
is looking like exactly. So, this is coming together. What I understand is that the Titans would like to have drawings and plans by this fall. The target has been to try to get a new stadium if that's the way they're going. And it's sure, it seems like the car is on that highway, right? To have that stadium open by the 26th NFL season. So, there's a lot of planning and stuff that can go forward on the stadium and work on the financial side, lining all those things up that can go on together at the same time. But, retractable roof, I have to admit, I would lean toward the retractable because again, you could, there are some days in this town where it's just absolutely gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, we've had gorgeous days in February. So if you can open that up and use it, but let's stay tuned. And for people that are wondering why doesn't Amy Adams Strunk put in more money? Well, the family paid for the enlargement of the practice facility, where they nearly doubled the size of that building. So she paid for that. It wasn't a matter of, asking Metro Nashville or the state for extra money. They went into their own pocket and paid that. I have not seen a number for what that cost, but it's not inconsequential. So, that's the building that takes care of the team, during the week, during the season, throughout the entire year. And so, there's been a lot of funds poured into this franchise by Amy Adams Strunk, not just in facility, but also hiring people. A passing game coordinator and Tim Kelly, a senior defensive assistant, and Jim Schwartz. And then there's so many people behind the scenes, social media, the website, all sorts of things that they've added to that organization. So she's put in some money. She's not like her dad. Bud Adams, I heard stories about the facility in Houston that, there was no money spent on it. So there's a huge difference between the father in this case and his daughter.
A lot of folks also forget that Nissan Stadium is not exclusively used for the Tennessee Titans. So the Metro Nashville and the state does benefit from a stadium being used and would certainly benefit from an enclosed stadium for.
Got a question.
Sure.
And I've not probably read everything that's been available to me to read on this subject, but Teresa, has there been any mention of how an enclosed stadium affects Tennessee State University football?
No, and that, not that I have seen, Mo, but the one thing, in my encounters with Mickey Allen and Eddie George over at TSU is, I think there's an awful lot of interest in getting a campus site. Yeah, getting back on campus. They tweeted out yesterday a survey. It's like, should we maybe go to artificial turf inside Hale Stadium? So, that's going to be that. I'm very curious to see what they're thinking there. Every instinct and every inclination and information I've been getting, I think TSU wants to be back on campus to, build a true home field advantage, because, it's nice to play in an NFL stadium. It's better when you've got, when it feels like a big crowd. And that's the problem with Nissan. Even if they downsize, and it sounds like this new place would maybe be closer to 60,000. And for reference, the Astrodome that they played in before they came to Nashville was around 58,000. So they made a bigger stadium when they came to Nashville. And then the fun thing was that people used to kneel and were like, well, why is the end zones open? Why didn't you just close this puppy in? Well, the NFL prices, those tickets are a little more expensive, and with the push toward more luxury items inside the stadium, it sounds like they're going to be doing what they're doing over in Neyland, taking out seats and putting in some that are, nice and comfy, and, to help bring fans to the stadium itself. So it's going to be, I'm really curious to see how this moves forward. But you mentioned the other uses. I mean, fanfare. They call it CMA. Fan Fest these days. Garth's going to be there next weekend. I mean, the concerts that they've been getting inside that building over the last, few years, they've been increasing that. Wished I'd seen the Stones, but, pandemic, that still hurts. But, that's the thing, that you get a dome stadium, domed, retractable roof, whatever, then Nashville is suddenly in the conversation for college football, not just the semifinals, but maybe a championship game. And I'm talking football and basketball Final Four. So, it just opens up Nashville to so many more events. And when those happen, we saw at the NFL draft, there's tens of thousands of people downtown spending lots and lots of money.
Teresa Walker of the Associated Press here on Main Street Sports Today. Teresa, thanks for taking some time with us. As always, we appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk NCAA hoops and more right after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Join Main Street Preps editor Russell Bonozzi and lead writer Tyler Palmatier as they bring you a recap and preview of the week's biggest high school sports news from around Middle Tennessee. It airs at its new time, Wednesdays at noon, and archived on social media on your podcast distribution platform of choice. Follow on Twitter at Main Street Preps and online at mainstreetpreps.com. It's Main Street Preps this week, dropping Wednesdays at noon on all across these Main Street media platforms.
Welcome back into Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Chris Yow and Mo Patton here. We are getting into a little college hoops as the basketball season ended last night with Kansas, the Kansas not City Jayhawks, not Kansas City Jayhawks.
Or not the Kansas Hawkeyes, as apparently a press release that's out there somewhere that, among others, Heather Williams received earlier today.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, that's a thing.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah.
I mean, how bad is it when it's a blue blood? Like I could maybe get behind it if like some school that barely wins, wins the title, but it's Kansas we're talking about here.
Well, it's not like Kansas has won a bunch now. I mean, they've been there.
It's still Kansas.
It is Kansas. It is Kansas. But but it also is Mark Emmert.
There's that.
I mean, he's certainly the hold my beer when guys start talking about the baseball commissioner whose name suddenly escaped me. Rob
Manfred?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, he made a little slip up last night. It is what it is. Kansas I don't think Kansas cares. They just wanted that trophy. I mean, Bill Self is just like, give me my money.
Whatever it wasn't North Carolina.
Yeah, no.
As it looked at halftime like it was going to be.
No question. Great comeback from the Jayhawks last night, and got to be impressed with what they were able to do. Even still, Hubert Davis may get the fastest extension in the history of extensions.
I think you have to be impressed regardless of the way things played out down the stretch with the job Hubert Davis did as a first-year college basketball head coach. And I don't know how many guys or ladies, excuse me, I don't know how many coaches have won a national championship in their first season as a head coach. And so
can't be many out there. I don't know how many of them have played for one.
Yeah.
So
just to be in that position, I mean, I think
impressive.
Hubert Davis and that North Carolina program deserve much credit. Now, they didn't execute very well down the stretch last night.
Did not, but Kansas probably had a little bit to do with that as well.
Well, I think injuries. I mean, I don't know who the guard was who had the awful looking ankle injury, and then Bacote got hurt inside the final 10 seconds or so there, or re-injured that ankle that he hurt in the Duke game. They had some guys on the floor who were significantly less than 100% trying to win a national championship.
Yes. Of course, the Bacote injury, everybody's watching it, the floor kind of giving out on him. But, these floors are meant to compress a little. Now, I don't know that it's supposed to do that much, but that's also a big dude. And he put all of his weight on that plant. And I'm just saying, I don't necessarily think it was poor craftsmanship on the part of whoever put the floor together. I think it was
it's just
one
one of those
bad
things that happen.
just bad luck.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So that's tough. But that's the way it goes. And just sometimes you just have to take the lumps as they come. Unfortunately, it's basketball, it's sports in general. So anyway, couple of things. One, Doug Edert of St. Peter's has announced he's headed to the transfer portal, and after his tournament, I don't think you'll have any shortage of options on the table. So congrats to Dougie Buckets, as I like to call him. And just think about this. Is one shining moment the best tradition that's outside of a game? I mean, that's a pretty – there are a lot out there. But one shining moment is a pretty good tradition outside of the actual event of the game. So it's about time to take a break on halftime. We talked to Ethan Small yesterday, the Spring Hill resident and Nashville Sounds opening day starter. Hopefully they get to play tonight. I think they will, as long as the outfield holds up. The infield should be fine with the tarp. But we got a chance to talk to him, and so we will let you hear from him during halftime. So stick around here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be back in the second half right after this. This is Chris Yow with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee sports editor, three-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best-looking girl, Bananarama, so the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice. Today is opening day for the Nashville Sounds, and the Milwaukee Brewers AAA affiliate is sending a local product to the bump. Lexington, Tennessee native and Spring Hill resident Ethan Small will get the baseball for the Sounds as they open tonight at First Horizon Park in Nashville against the Durham Bulls.
It's fun, man. This is I grew up about an hour and a half west of here, and then just recently moved about 30 minutes from here. So I've always loved this town, people, culture here, and everything. So I'm just excited to play here, this close to home. I'm excited, and definitely when I wake up tomorrow, I'll have the little butterflies in the tummy.
The number 4 ranked prospect Small, who was a standout at Mississippi State, underwent Tommy John surgery in 2017 and spent much of 2021 in Class AA Biloxi before making his debut for the Sounds last June. He was selected as a player in the MLB Futures All-Star Game last season. So how does playing close to home make things easier?
I think it takes definitely some of the stresses of life and, like you said, the logistics out of the game, and you get to focus more on the day-to-day preparation and stuff instead of worrying about, bills from these different places you're staying and hotels and all this stuff.
So then, why Spring Hill instead of his hometown of Lexington?
My agency is based out of Brentwood, and so kind of the idea there was, biggest thing, I wanted to stay in Tennessee because I like Tennessee. And then here, there's just a lot more stuff to do here than where I'm from, pretty obviously.
For the first time since the coronavirus pandemic eliminated the minor league season in 2020 and last year shortened the MILB year, what are ball players expecting this season?
It's been very challenging, and it definitely shook up what we do, and having that year that we didn't have a season at all, and to come out here knowing that we're going to play tomorrow, first day, it's normal, feels great. So it's going to be a long season, hopefully a fun one.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
It's time for the second half of Main Street Sports today. Coming up, Chip Walters of the Blue Raider Network will talk all Blue Raiders, so stay tuned for that around 3 o'clock. Also, it is the Masters week. Tiger looks like he's going to play. The question is he the GOAT of GOATs? We'll discuss. Don't forget this day in Braves history every day through the season, which is around the corner. And Top 5 Tuesday, most hated teams. A couple of guys that never get hate mail, the Hall of Famer Mo Patton and Sundrop kid from Alabama, Chris Yow. No hate. No hate.
We've had our share.
Well earned, though.
Most specifically.
I had a little situation this weekend that might beg to differ, but anyway.
That means people are paying attention.
Oh,
right?
They are most definitely paying attention.
That's what we want.
So Mo, I mean, obviously Mo understands what this segment is about, but yesterday there was a tweet that Tiger Woods was the GOAT of the GOATs. And so JP and I kind of had a brief conversation, and I thought, no, this is a great conversation. We need to have this on the air.
Yeah, we stopped the conversation.
We did. We stopped at mid-conversation because we were kind of going through the GOATs of every sport and thought, well, is Tiger Woods the
GOAT of all GOATs?
Is he the most dominant of GOATs?
You know, I don't have his, I can't.
Is he even the greatest of all time
in golf?
In golf. That's the first question. You have to
to be the GOAT of all GOATs, you have to be the GOAT of your sport.
Right.
I mean, that is a given.
That's a requirement.
Yeah.
Right.
The only requirement of this conversation
is
you must be the GOAT of your sport.
I think it's fair to say that he is.
And Jack Nicklaus is the only close, and that's only because he has more major wins.
But I think the age at which Tiger did it was so stunning.
And just the pure domination of that first 7 years. Also, how we missed the what if Tiger Woods don't get his beat by his wife on our top 5 what ifs is pretty remarkable.
Or any of his accidents, if you will.
I mean, because if that doesn't happen, Jack Nicklaus is an afterthought. So that may be the biggest what if in sports history.
If that doesn't happen, we're probably not having this conversation because he probably is the GOAT of all GOATs. But
I say I agree. I think Tiger Woods, to me, and maybe it's recency bias, maybe it's because I grew up watching Tiger Woods. But my goodness,
he transformed the sport. I think that's the distinction here. With if he had that all-time majors record, I think there's no question, right? That's the only thing that's any argument could be made against him being the greatest of all time is that he doesn't have the most majors in his sport.
But in terms of the impact on his sport,
no question.
Oh, there's nobody close, right?
So that's why I think everything else points to Tiger. That's the only mitigating factor. So that being said,
if Tiger is the GOAT of golf,
where does he rank? Obviously, we think Tom Brady is the GOAT in football. It's arguable, but
it is somewhat arguable because I think Jim Brown has to be in the discussion.
There are a lot of old school players who deserve to be in the discussion.
But none of them has 7?
None of them have 7 rings.
Yeah.
And, I think it's an interesting dichotomy because the conversation with Brady leads more towards him being the GOAT because of his numbers.
Sure.
I mean, yes, he's all time, but his athleticism was not really dominant. The numbers say otherwise when you when you look at him.
Mhm.
You know, because he leads everything. A lot of that's longevity. But it's interesting because Tiger was so dominant. I don't think anybody says Brady was dominant.
I mean,
I saw something right after he retired that kind of broke Brady's career, his 21-year career, up into 3 7-year hits, each of which
it's Hall of Fame
would
worthy.
be Hall of Fame worthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to say. I mean,
collectively, when you put it in that frame of mind, you're right. It is hard to argue that he's not the GOAT.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I just think that there are other people that deserve to be mentioned in the conversation. Sure. I think at the end of the conversation, you have to say 7 rings.
Montana, Rice. Rice is close. Rice had 5 rings, right? Because he won 1 with Young and 4 with
is
Montana.
So far out ahead
of
at his position.
So,
I mean, everything.
But that being said, whoever the football GOAT is, I don't think it's arguable enough that he's not the GOAT of GOATs.
Right.
Here were the 2 names that I came up with. One, baseball. Who knows? I cannot tell you who the greatest baseball player of all time is. I think Willie Mays is in the discussion. I think Hank Aaron's in the discussion. I mean, I think that Sandy Koufax is in the discussion. There are a lot.
I think
of
that
great baseball players.
think that there are enough people in that conversation that none of them emerges as GOAT of GOATs worthy.
Exactly. So we're just ixnaying baseball.
We are. No disrespect to baseball.
Right.
Just
yeah.
No.
There's just too many people to make it. I said Wayne Gretzky is probably the closest for me as far as domination of their sport as an individual, and Michael Jordan. Because Michael Jordan completely changed the game of basketball. Heck, he changed the length of the shorts they wear. I mean, he changed so much. And then, of course, you've got 6 rings. And if he doesn't retire, he may have 8 rings. Who knows?
Well, yeah, when he was at the top and they made it, they won, and he won the MVP. And there was no question.
But he was still the best player in the league.
Oh, sure.
When he wasn't winning championships
Correct.
in the 80s.
Yeah. Well, it is a team sport. But when he got there,
he won
6 for 6 and 6 MVPs.
Same thing with Joe Montana. I mean, it's kind of the same thing.
Again, at the risk of being the fly in the ointment, I think as you talk about a guy that transformed the game like Michael Jordan did, I think you have to include Wilt Chamberlain in that discussion, because a 7-footer doing what he did in that era,
unreal.
Yeah. I mean, I think has to be in the discussion. I think ultimately you are probably right regarding Jordan, but I think there has to be mention thereof.
The only person who is not in all of sports, the only person who is undisputed, the greatest player of all time is Wayne Gretzky. There's nobody, you cannot, Gordie Howe, don't care. You cannot, under any circumstance, argue that Wayne Gretzky is not the greatest hockey player of all time. If you take away every goal he ever scored, he still has more points than anybody in history.
It's unreal.
Every goal, take them all away. And he's the goals record holder.
Well, and to that end, going back to baseball for just a second, take away all 755 of Hank Aaron's home runs, and he's still got 3,000 plus hits.
I mean,
so when you're talking about the GOAT of baseball, that's something that needs to be. But again, I think that there are enough different candidates, that GOAT of GOATs is probably out of reach for any of them. So you're talking Tiger and you're talking Gretzky then. Is that...
That's it. That's where I go. To me, I think it's Gretzky, Tiger, and then Jordan, and then Brady.
What elevates Gretzky over Tiger for you?
The fact that he dominated his sport.
He's got the numbers
from the time he got there to the time he quit, and he was there for 20 years.
So if Tiger had quit,
had Tiger not gotten beat up
and not been injured,
had he done it from 98 to 2015 or 2019, if he had that 20-year career where he wins the Masters, bookends it, right? Then there's no question. I think Tiger's probably the greatest because he would have so many more majors than Jack Nicklaus ever had. But we can't use what ifs. We got to go by what happened.
Sure.
And Wayne Gretzky, from the time he entered the league to the time he left the league, he was the greatest player on the ice at all times.
Step one to being great, to being the greatest, is you got to be on the field to play. You got to play.
Certainly doesn't hurt.
I mean, you can't be the greatest without playing. And so injuries do play a factor and other circumstances. So to Wayne Gretzky's credit, to Tom Brady's credit.
Sure.
I mean, there is something to be said to being eligible and keeping your body in that shape, your skill set.
For that period of
That
time.
is part of being great.
Yep.
And that can't go understated.
Yep. This day in Braves history, on April 5th, 2015, closer Craig Kimbrell and outfielder BJ Upton were traded to the Padres. In return, Atlanta received from San Diego outfielder Cameron Maben, first baseman Carlos Quentin, pitchers Matt Whistler and Jordan Parabeck, and a 2015 competitive balance round A pick.
Did any of those outside of Whistler Maben played?
Maben played. I don't think Carlos Quentin ever put on a uniform.
Okay. We sent him packing when he got here.
Yeah. And I think Parabeck was in the organization but never got up.
All right. Final.
And a 2015 competitive balance round A pick. That pick was the number 41 pick in the 2015 draft, and with it, the Braves called the name of Mississippi high school standout Austin Riley.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Every day and twice on Sunday.
I'll take it twice this Sunday.
That pick in and of itself made that trade for the Braves.
Zero question.
Yep.
And we got rid of BJ Upton, which was – we could have gotten back a bag of peanuts and I'd have been okay with getting rid of BJ.
You also got a pretty good stretch out of Cameron Maben as well, a North Carolina native who loved playing in Braves country while he was here.
I bet he did. Let's talk a little Blue Raider sports with Chip Walters right after this break here on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back into Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow alongside Mo Patton, J.P. Plant on the controls, and getting you all caught up on the small town gossip. Live from Columbia. There's a lot of small town gossip around here. One of the guys who loves getting caught up on Columbia gossip is, from right here in the Dimple. And that's Chip Walters, who joins us now, the voice of the Blue Raiders. Talk a little Blue Raider sports. Chip, what's going on, man?
Well, it's always something. Last week I was in a car driving to Cookeville. Today, I just get out of the dentist chair and I feel like this side of my face is about to fall off. But but we're trudging on. And
if you can feel that side of your face, that's probably the issue.
Well, I'm starting to be able to feel it, but the numbing agent that my dentist used today worked quite well. So so now we're coming off of that. So, but yeah, you guys doing good?
We're doing well. We're doing well. It was Mule Day over the weekend, as I'm sure you're aware. And,
I was actually in the Dimple on Friday night for an event.
Friday night. Oh, for a Mule Day related event?
Yes, for a Mule Day related event.
Well,
and
you weren't in the auctioneer challenge, were you?
No, I was not, nor was I in the lying contest. But, I was emceeing a gated mule show over at the park.
Gated mules?
Mm-hmm. Where they ride mules like they do walking horses or quarter horses or that kind of thing.
I want to pipe in real quick because, Chip, for years, and I don't know, you may still do the walking horse, but I know you've got the Tennessee walking horse. The difference between the Tennessee walking horse and a mule gate in calling the show, you let them run on in the Tennessee walking horse. What do you do with the mules?
Well, I mean, pretty much the same thing. It depends on if they're walking mules or if they are or if they're racking, and so there are different calls for the gates and over time, you see some of that, but they look more like their gait is not nearly as exaggerated or defined as walking or racking horses. They're more like pleasure horses, but they do have a gait, and it makes for a smooth ride. So, and of course, if you're in Columbia, first weekend of April, you're going to have a gated mule show.
Man of many talents. Voice of the Blue Raiders, Chip Walters, with us here on Main Street Sports today. Chip, last week was a little bittersweet if you were a Middle Tennessee State women's basketball fan, because the Lady Raiders advanced to the Final Four of the WNIT, and they lost in the national semifinals in the Glass House to visiting Seton Hall. 74-73 on a bucket inside the final, 5 seconds?
So, yeah, that'd be about right, because they got the ball back after calling a timeout and advanced the ball to midcourt and had one last opportunity. Middle had a 4-point lead and saw that get away after trailing.
Being down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, after being down the whole game. Finally came back, got the lead. There was a jump ball call that was, I mean, you got to give Seton Hall credit. You could see one of their assistant coaches, coaching up one of his girls, saying to get in there, grab the ball, try to get the jump ball, because they had the arrow, and that's exactly what happened. And once Seton Hall got back up by a point, Middle did get the ball and had it at half court with like 4.2, something like that, which was very reminiscent of the time left on the clock last night. But they got the ball to Ksenia Maleshka. Just had a good look at it, didn't make the shot. Seton Hall won and went on to Brookings, South Dakota, to take on Jackrabbits of South Dakota State, who ended up winning it pretty handily over Seton Hall. And South Dakota State played all their games in that event at home, and they have a huge home court advantage and sell out their arena of about 4,000 to 5,000 people. But as you mentioned, bittersweet. Sweet part, had a great year, won 27 games. You get all the way to the national semifinals of that tournament, but the bitter part, of course, is suffering a loss. But within 24 hours after that, you got another sweet piece of news, and that was out of the transfer portal, pick up Savannah Wheeler, who was the leading scorer in Conference USA last year, the point guard for Marshall. She will be transferring in, and I mean, that is about as much of a plug-and-play situation as you can get with Dor Sar finishing her eligibility and having to go back to Israel and spend a year in the Israeli army. That was part of the deal when kids from Israel come to the United States. They have a military term they have to fulfill when they return home. But she was unbelievable this year. Love watching her play. But Savannah Wheeler is very much cut from the same cloth, and scores just like just kind of maybe as good or better than Dor Sar did.
Mm-hmm. And that's a situation where you're bettering yourself and you're weakening a conference foe. So you'll always take that.
Not a conference foe anymore.
No. My bad. Never mind. Scratch that. Hey, where's that record scratch?
Yeah.
Yeah. My bad. Sorry about that. Chip, I have to say I paid a lot more attention to the Lady Raiders over this WNIT stretch than I had up to this point, probably. So I'll plead guilty on that. But while you're bringing in a Savannah Wheeler, you've also got to like what you saw here down this stretch out of Courtney Blakely in the backcourt.
Well, Courtney Blakely has and you go back, and I know you were at the Vanderbilt game, and she got the defensive assignment on the final play of the game that and defended the shooter for Vanderbilt, who was putting up one to win. And so she's been good. You've had, of course, the not only Maleshka, but the other Russian girl has been out 8 at when they went to Toledo. And so you've got that. You've got Courtney Whitson will be coming back for her senior year. You've got Jalen Gregory, who had an outstanding freshman year. So it's Coach Rick Insel and his staff have they have to be pleased with what they have coming back and the newest addition to the fold. And it'll be interesting to see. Coach Insel talked on his post-game show that the end of his coaching career is within sight somewhere down the road. Sooner rather than later, and that will just play itself out as it does, depending on how next season goes.
Speaking with the voice of the Blue Raiders, Chip Walters, here on Main Street Sports today. And I want to pivot to spring sports because it's always a good time to talk about beating Western. And the baseball Blue Raiders did just that, taking 2 of 3, including a complete game from Peyton Wigington. His 4th complete game on Sunday.
Former Page standout.
Yes.
Fantastic night fantastic afternoon for him and for this team.
It really was. And the key to Wiggs' effort on Sunday, a lot of times you can really extend yourself in a game if you can have an inning where you throw 10 pitches or something. Well, he had a 6-pitch inning followed by a 4-pitch inning. So
wow.
right in the middle, like in the 5th and 6th or 6th and 7th, right in there, which allowed him to go the distance. And it was very interesting how the weekend played out weather-wise. We had a breezy Friday night, almost dead calm Saturday, and then the wind again came back on Sunday. But not only did you have Wigginton with a great effort there, on Saturday in the loss, you had a really good long relief effort from Jaden Ham, who has continued to be. He had to put the brakes on Western, and he did exactly what he had to do. Just the bats weren't able to produce enough runs late in the game to get him back. So, but Ham did his job, and there's a lot of Murray and Williamson counties on that roster. They were supposed to be playing again tomorrow against Memphis, but that game in about 45 minutes will officially be out there that game will not happen tomorrow. Whether it will be played later on in the schedule, they haven't. Jim Toman and Darren Schoenrock have not made that up just yet, but could be, might not be. That game will be in flux. Now the Raiders travel to Huntington, West Virginia, or Charleston, or wherever Marshall decides to play their games this weekend, and that will be the final series in baseball with the Thundering Herd. So Middle's now won 2 series in a row with at UAB and at home against Western, and they're kind of in a log jam of about 4 or 5 teams that are 5-4, tied for 4th place in the league.
You mentioned the performance out of the bullpen Saturday by Jaden Ham, holding Western Kentucky in check, Middle unable to close the gap in that loss. But in the 10-2 opener on Friday, MTSU won behind a 3-for-3 performance by former Spring Hill standout Bryson Thomas that included a home run. 3-for-3 with a pair of runs and a pair of RBI in that one. So, like you said, Murray County standing up for the Blue Raiders over there.
Yeah, and Bryson played well in JT Mabry had a huge weekend, but Bryson also played well last Tuesday up in Cookeville and when Middle played Tennessee Tech.
Like to hear that. I
was going to mention while we were talking about cancellation of games, softball was scheduled to play Murray tomorrow. That game, due to weather, has been canceled. Soccer was scheduled to play Lipscomb tomorrow night. That has been canceled. So, and I would imagine football practice this afternoon, at the very least, if they have it at all, will be moved into the stadium instead of the practice field. So a lot of stuff that weather is having an effect on right now during spring sports. Men's golf, I want to mention that they played in the Vanderbilt Invitational over at the Legends Club last week, and they finished 4th out of 15 teams and had they were finished just ahead of Ohio State and had the best finish of any of the 3 Conference USA teams that were in that event. And a name that you will know, Nick Wolf, Coach Boots Donnelly's grandson, playing his grad year after a terrific career at UT Martin, is playing a grad year for Mark McIntyre's Blue Raider team, was the best finisher for Middle. He finished in the top 10 as going 6 under par for the tournament. He had a 3-round total of 207, and that was a career best for him in a 3-round event. And he has been playing just absolute lights out this year, and really cool to see Nick come back to play at Middle. His dad Kevin and mother Bunny have enjoyed having him play close to home.
I was going to ask you if that was Kevin's son.
Yeah, Kevin and Bunny's son.
Good Lord, that's amazing. I'm getting old.
Isn't that something?
It really is. It really is. Chip Walters, the voice of the Blue Raiders, here with us on Main Street Sports today. Chip, as always, we appreciate you. And with all these cancellations, I'm not sure what we'll find to talk about next week.
Oh, we'll figure out something. We'll have baseball over the weekend. Softball goes to FIU. Football spring practice. We'll have a 3rd week in the book, so there'll be something for sure.
Okay.
165 days to kick off. And if you want to get your Blue Raider season tickets, now's the time to do it, because apparently there are some prizes out there. So if you renew now, you'll be entered into the prizes. So check out goblueraiders.com and sign up for your season tickets today. Chip, thank you, man.
Thank you, boys. Have a good week.
All right. When we come back, it's Top 5 Tuesday. Top 5 most hated teams. Wonder who will be on that list. Should be good lists. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Back after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. This is Chris Yow with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee Sports Editor, three-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama. So the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice. Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint, coming to you from Columbia, Tennessee, but bringing you all of the most timely and comprehensive sports coverage from across the mid-state and the Southeast and the rest of the country. As we have a phenomenal guest list the rest of the week. Of course, we'll talk to Heather Williams tomorrow about some NASCAR. We'll have Paul Newberry of the Associated Press to talk about the Atlanta Braves as well on Wednesday. Chris Hughes will join us on Thursday for Coach's Corner for Fairview, talking a little Fairview football and flag football.
Primarily flag.
Primarily. Yeah. And Jeff Calkins to talk a little bit about the Grizz and their fantastic week. And then, of course, every Friday, Jeff Him joins us from the Nashville Sounds. And this week, getting you ready for the draft, Mike Detillier, NFL draft expert, will tell us why the Titans are not going to draft a quarterback.
Probably also tell us why they're not going to trade A.J. Brown. But I think we can tell us that.
Yeah. John Robinson has gone on record so many times saying he's not on the stop talking about it.
We neglected to ask Teresa about that, but I don't think we should have wasted our time.
It's not worth. It's not worth asking about because we all know it's not a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into our top 5 most hated teams. Brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness. 2 great locations, one here in Columbia, one in Franklin. If you are looking to get in shape this spring, Mid-South 5 Fitness can help you reach those goals. Style is still in the gang. StillAthletes.com, @StillAthletes, no E, STEEL Athletes on Instagram. Go check them out. That's Mid-South 5 Fitness, bringing you Top 5 Tuesday each and every week.
As we head into this Top 5 Tuesday, most hated teams, a team that may wind up on a list considering that you've got a room full of Braves fans. Former Los Angeles Dodgers outfielder Tommy Davis died yesterday at the age of 83. And this guy had probably these numbers jump out at you. I mean, these are what they call video game numbers now. In 1962, his 3rd full year in the majors, this guy batted .346 with 27 home runs and 153 RBIs. That's in 163 games. I mean, when you're starting to talk about close to an RBI a game, that's solid. First of 3 All-Star seasons for Tommy Davis over his 18-year major league career. Also had 230 hits that year.
Wow.
Yeah. Died again yesterday at the age of 83, and just wanted to mention that. Condolences to him and his family. My dad's a big Dodgers fan. I, on the other hand, am not. And so, with that, let's get to our top 5 most hated teams.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that because y'all are going to think you're going to laugh at me when I say this, but there are not a lot of teams that I hate. There are a few that I hate with a burning passion, but I had trouble finding 5. I had 3.
They're
pretty easy.
Most teams I just don't feel a whole lot for one way or the other. There's only there's not really 5 that I do hate.
Now, are these your most hated?
Yes,
our most hated.
Our most hated.
Yes, our most hated.
Teams that I hate more than anybody else, and the top 3 are on the list. And there's these are teams that I would never, ever, 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 ever root to win anything.
Ever.
I want them to lose everything.
Everything?
Everything.
No. Well, let's start with your number 5. While JP is reconsidering some things over there.
My number 5 is just based off the pure arrogance of their owner / GM, and that is the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I don't hate the Cowboys, but I don't root for the Cowboys to win anything. I mean, I'm not like screw the Cowboys, they suck. I don't put a lot of effort into hating the Cowboys, but I certainly don't root for them, especially on Thanksgiving when they are the only game.
And non-deservedly so in most cases.
Yeah.
My number 5, and when you had a area figure playing for him, it kind of dampened things. But I'm not a big New England Patriots fan. It will be easier to hate the New England Patriots now than it has been over the past 5 years or so.
I will say this. I was a big Patriots fan in 2001 because I was so angry at the Rams. So it's kind of hard. I have learned to dislike them more, but I think that's just because they win. Or they were winning. They're not winning now.
I'm not a Patriots fan.
JP, have you got number 5 over there?
Yeah, I can go with this. Number 5, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, that's an easy one to hate.
That is a solid
as a
one.
Titans fan, I can see that.
Sure.
Them or the Ravens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the Ravens may be on the list too. My number 4. This is my UT coming out. It's Florida. I hope Florida loses everything they do. I hope they lose at Tiddlywinks. I hope they lose at Equestrian. I hope they lose at women's water polo. I hope they lose every game they ever try to play.
Equestrian.
Whatever. I hope they're trying to ride alligators out there and lose.
My number 4, and it probably should be higher, but this is okay. The New York Yankees.
Yeah.
They ruined my 1996 World Series. They've ruined a lot of things for a lot of folks, and I just wish they would go somewhere.
And Derek Jeter's only in the Hall of Fame because he played his entire career in a New York Yankees uniform.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep. I would not disagree with that. JP?
All right, number 4, yeah, the Ravens.
Yeah. I figured they'd be on his list
Mhm.
somewhere because, I mean,
Yep.
you can't have 2 football seasons ago, the year that they beat us,
Yeah.
when they were the number 1 overall
But
seed.
But I respect the hell out of Ray Lewis. And I kind of like Ray Lewis now. But there's been a long time since he stole the soul of Eddie George.
My number 3.
Or knocked it out of him, I guess.
I could not have a list without them on it. And if you listen to this show, you already know where I'm going with this. And we talked as recently as yesterday, Maryville College. I genuinely, they are the first team I thought of. I absolutely hate Maryville College.
Rival of
where I played
Huntington
College,
where you played
in my freshman year. Yeah,
so you have firsthand experience.
Yeah. Listen, we beat them 3 times, including in the conference championship game, and they went to the NCAA tournament because we didn't get an auto bid.
Yeah.
Now you tell me, if you can't drive hate from that, you can't drive hate from anything.
So my number 3 is the entire National League East.
The Mets, the Phillies,
the Nationals, the Marlins.
No, I don't hate the Marlins. I hate Don Mattingly.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to hate the Marlins right now just because
Sterling Marte is
pretty apathetic.
Alcantara.
They start winning though.
The Marlins may be the most dangerous team in the National League East for the Braves this year.
I'm just saying, a lot of their players are easy to root for.
Mm-hmm.
I love Sandy Alcantara. I love Sterling Marte. I like a lot of players on their team, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
JP,
number 3. Kentucky basketball.
The Kentucky basketball.
That's the Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
There's no question there.
So you can count on a UT football coming up here at some point too.
It's that's the CM Newton effect over there.
Yeah. Okay. Your number 2, sir?
Number 2 is the New York Yankees. New York Yankees, man. I hate them.
That's mine too. So Mo, you can have the floor on number 2.
Well, my number 2 is the Dallas Cowboys, and you know,
hating on the Cowboys.
It's
they're a love-hate type of team.
You mentioned the arrogance, but it's also the attention that they get for being consistently mediocre.
America's team and all that crap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Miss
me with that. You said your number 2
Yankees.
is Yankees.
Yeah.
Okay.
So down to 1.
All right.
I don't think there's any question here. My number 1's probably Mo's number 1, but it's Gino Auriemma and the Connecticut Husky women's basketball team. There's that is number 1 end all be all.
Actually, it's not my number 1.
Wow, they're not even on your list.
They're not on my list. My number 1
you
is
actively hate on them on this show all the time too.
I do. And,
they're an easy target.
And you know, I probably did not give this the attention it deserved.
Gotcha.
But I feel pretty confident in my number 1, Notre Dame football.
Oh yeah, you hate on Notre Dame probably more than you hate on UConn hoops. So yeah. I can see that. Yeah, you. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that.
Thank you.
JP,
my number 1, the shade of hunting orange.
Anything.
I will say that my list probably should have included UConn somewhere. Probably should have also included Western Kentucky in any sport.
Yeah.
And Nebraska.
If you're a true Blue Raider, it should.
So,
and you are.
Those would be honorable mentions. I have an
Mhm.
honorable mention of Troy State. So, and now that Jacksonville State is back, is at the FBS level, I fully expect Jacksonville State, Troy State to be
Troy
to be a rivalry again. And I am truly hoping that is able to get back to what it was in the early 90s and
when they were both
through
in
the 80s and 90s when they were both Division II.
Oh,
before Troy went to FCS, JSU stayed Division II. Then Troy went FBS and JSU moved up to FCS. And mid 90s is kind of when the rivalry went way in favor of Troy because they had more scholarship players, they had better players. So getting back to the same level will reignite that rivalry, and it's a lot of fun. So
I'll give you another quick honorable mention. The Miami Hurricanes football from the early 2000s.
Not from the early 2000s, specifically the 1985 Miami Hurricanes football team walked into New Orleans and was telling everybody why they should be national champions after they beat UT. Score UT 35, Miami 7.
See, I didn't mind that.
Again, 34-13 in New Orleans, 1993 Sugar Bowl.
But Kellen Winslow Jr., his soldier ran after the loss to Tennessee. That team,
I get
that was the back end of.
Don't get me wrong, but the 2001 team is the greatest college football team in the history of time. Ed Reed.
You're not wrong.
All of those guys.
All those guys.
And I loved watching that team.
Oh, they were fun to watch.
So I don't know. I don't hate
as long as you weren't rooting for the team they were playing.
That's right. Exactly. All right, come back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on Main Street Sports today. I'm Chris Yow. That's Mo Patton, JP Plant on the controls. We'll see you tomorrow.